Hey, it's Nicholas from liveyourdeepestself.com here with a quick overview of the second article in the Metacrisis and Personal Transformation series. And this one's entitled Psychosis, Meta-Psychosis, and Reality Limitations. This article is really about what reality is and how we can really know what it is. So just in that direction, an interesting data point for me from last week's video post was that the average watch time was about a minute, which was about where I mentioned the M word, magic. So it's possible that magic literally turned many people off. So let me address that to start with. Last time I said that this series of articles is built around three themes, the three R's of the meta-crisis, if you like: reality narratives, readmitting suppressed reality aspects, and relationality. So what does magic mean here? Basically, that the statistically typical configuration of humans right now denies and suppresses our cosmically creative aspects, which then seem magical or supernatural relative to everyday experience. But when these aspects appear stably in others, we call them geniuses. When they appear transiently in our own experience, we usually either reinterpret them to downplay their significance or spend the rest of our lives seeking them out. If the M word is too much, you could replace it with the real intelligence and true creativity, which can give us the world our hearts desire. And what we even mean by intelligence and creativity, what these things are capable of, depends on the reality context that we see them as occurring in. So again, how do we know what's real? The article addresses the reality question using four categories, three of which are shown in the first figure here. The fourth is actual connection with real reality, which I'll say more about in a moment. Psychosis is roughly the psychiatric condition. Reality limitations are experiences consistent with partially accurate science spirituality narratives. But the most important category is this middle one of meta-psychosis. This is the reality interpretation most of us live in. We call it obvious or common sense, and it's strongly synergistic with the dynamics of the meta-crisis. It's from a state of meta-psychosis that we judge and dismiss real intelligence and true creativity, because these things then look like unreal magic to meta-psychosis. So what is meta-psychosis? The left panel of figure 2 here shows its basic elements. I take the image of a chair and a table in conscious experience to be the chair and table. And I take the apparent separation of table, chair, and thinking, again, in conscious experience, to prove that reality itself is fundamentally separate. As the right panel shows, even modern mainstream science, properly done, points out some reality distortions in meta-psychosis. Experience is actually a whole and establishes very little about an alleged underlying reality that it represents. But stopping there in a kind of nothing's really knowable post-truth nightmare is just yet another way to empower the meta-crisis. So let's just jump to the other end of the spectrum. Here's a hypothesis I'm offering about structural features of real reality, that fourth component I mentioned earlier. The right panel sketches what I call the four-factor model of deep reality, or 4FDR. This comes from a specific class of non-dual spiritualities, and perhaps the most familiar piece is the one being in the middle here. Most people have heard of oneness traditions. Now, at a large scale, figure 2's meta-psychosis takes our universe to be more or less synonymous with total reality. But in the middle panel here, I show another rational view. Our universe is just one drop in an ocean of non-separate universes, but it's actually currently displaced from that ocean primarily by a couple of specific moves. So now we can see why, at least hypothetically, we don't typically experience the magic of real reality, deep intelligence, and cosmic creativity. It's because we're continually animating the moves to depart from the context where those things are the default. Now, naturally, when I say I'm making a choice to depart, that I isn't the meta-psychosis meaning of I. It's an authentic I that's typically deeply, deeply buried in current human configurations. Practically then, these choice to leave Models can show us reinforcing loops that obstruct alternative choices, and so obstruct the timelessness and magic that are part of the Metacrisis antidote package. I'll refer you to the article for details, but the practically important point, again, is that we can use the model of real reality and our departure from it to identify interventions. Here, personal transformation and the reworking of science and religion that can start to unwind the momentum of departure and so start to undo the momentum of metacrisis. I'm Nicholas. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you again next time when we'll press on into systems thinking approaches to timelessness, transformation, and the metacrisis.